The 1967 Washington Quarter Dollar, a historical overview. The Washington Quarter, first minted in 1932 to commemorate George Washington's 200th birthday, has seen many versions over the decades. It's one of the most beloved coins in the U.S. mint's history, but among all the quarters produced, the 1967 Washington Quarter is particularly noteworthy due to its rarity and the unique circumstances surrounding its release. The coin itself. The 1967 Washington Quarter Dollar features the iconic portrait of George Washington designed by John Flanagan, with the reverse side showing an eagle in flight, a symbol of American strength and freedom. But unlike earlier quarters that were struck in 90% silver, the 1967 quarter was minted in a copper-nickel-clad composition, which means it's less valuable in terms of its metal content. So, what makes the 1967 quarter so valuable, if it's not about the silver content? The story behind its rarity. In 1967, the U.S. Mint was in the process of transitioning away from the use of silver in coins due to rising silver prices. As a result, the Washington Quarter was one of the last coins to be produced with a high silver content, but in 1967, the vast majority of quarters were made with the new copper-nickel alloy. However, there is a story that adds a layer of intrigue to the 1967 Washington Quarter. While most of the 1967 quarters were struck with the new composition, a small number of 1,967 silver quarters were mistakenly produced due to a minting error. These coins were struck with the old 90% silver composition instead of the new copper-nickel-clad alloy. These error coins, often referred to as 1967 silver quarters, have become extremely rare, making them highly sought after by collectors. The coin's rarity. The rarity of the 1967 Washington Quarter lies primarily in these error coins. It's believed that only a very limited number of silver 1967 quarters were released into circulation, making them a real treasure for numismatists and coin collectors. The U.S. Mint has never officially acknowledged the existence of these silver error quarters, but many collectors and experts believe they were accidentally struck in the same manner as previous year's silver quarters, before the Mint's transition to the copper-nickel-clad design. This mistake, while rare, can make the 1967 silver quarter incredibly valuable. For most collectors, finding one of these silver 1967 quarters in their collection or in circulation would be like stumbling upon a hidden gold mine. How much is a 1967 Washington Quarter worth today? The value of a 1967 Washington Quarter is far from fixed. Depending on whether it is the standard copper-nickel version or one of the rare silver error coins, the value can vary dramatically. Let's break it down. 1967 copper-nickel quarter, regular issue. These are the most common version of the 1967 quarter. Since they don't contain silver, their value is generally close to face value, with collectors willing to pay a small premium for well-preserved specimens. A typical 1967 copper-nickel quarter in good condition might fetch between $1 to $3. 1967 silver error quarters, the real treasure. Here's where things get exciting. The rare silver 1967 quarters, which were struck with the old 90% silver composition, can fetch anywhere from $100 to $500 or more, depending on the coin's condition and provenance. Coins in uncirculated or near-perfect condition have been known to sell for much more. The big-ticket items, some of the most well-preserved or high-grade era 1967 silver quarters have been auctioned for thousands of dollars. In the right market, it's not out of the question to see a rare, silver-struck 1967 Washington Quarter sell for $10,000 or more. Some lucky collectors have even stumbled upon these error coins in their pocket change, making them a truly one-in-a-million find. Factors that influence the value of your 1967 Washington Quarter. If you think you might have a valuable 1967 Washington Quarter, there are a few factors you'll want to consider before getting it appraised or selling it. Condition. Grading coins are graded based on their condition, and this can significantly affect their value. A coin that is in excellent condition with minimal wear and tear will be worth much more than one that's heavily worn. The highest grades are typically MS 65, Mint State 65, and above. The silver error factor, the most critical factor in determining the value of a 1967 Washington Quarter, is whether it's one of the rare silver error coins. You'll need to have your coin professionally authenticated to confirm if it is silver or if it was mistakenly struck with silver before selling or buying it. Demand and market trends. Like any rare collectible, the demand for certain coins fluctuates over time. If you're holding onto a 1967 silver era quarter, it's important to keep track of the coin market trends and auction results to know when to sell. Conclusion: a rare find that could change your life. The 1967 Washington quarter dollar, especially those rare silver era coins, represents a stunning example of how a tiny mistake at the US Mint can lead to a treasure worth thousands or even tens of thousands of dollars. It's the kind of discovery that could completely change your life if you happen to be the lucky one to stumble upon one of these gems. So, the next time you're looking through your coin collection or browsing your pocket change, remember that the rarest 1967 Washington quarter could be waiting to make you rich. If you have any 1967 Washington quarters, take a closer look. You might just be holding onto a piece of history that's worth far more than you ever imagined.